Atlanta firefighter attempts to rescue a 95-year-old woman and is suspended for breaking protocol. Attractive firefighter cracks up after rescuing a grandma from flooding in Canada. Portland off-duty firefighter saves an elderly woman while off the clock. I wouldn't miss it. Atlanta firefighter attempts to rescue a 95-year-old woman and is suspended for breaking protocol. In 2019, Atlanta Fire Rescue's Daniel Dwyer did what firefighters are considered to do: throw himself into danger to save another person. Firefighters had gone to a house fire on Collier Drive in West Atlanta, and a 95-year-old woman was inside the burning home. Of course, Dwyer heroically went in and pulled her out. Firefighters believed the fire had originated in the kitchen due to one of the stove burners, which had been left on, and that the burglar bars surrounding the house made it difficult to gain quick access inside. But Dwyer did gain entry. In fact, in a video where the victim, 95-year-old Sally Scrine, appears in it, he is seen carrying her out the front door onto the porch. For that heroic act, Dwyer was unbelievably suspended 8 months later. According to a notice of final adverse action, Dwyer was suspended without pay for 4 days. The document cites Dwyer's decision to enter the home on June 27, 2019, an attempt to save Scrine in a breach of protocol as the cause of the suspension. The suspension was signed by Atlanta Fire Chief Randall B. Slaughter, and Dwyer sought to appeal it. In a statement, Slaughter said, "The Atlanta Fire Rescue disciplinary process is designed to promote safety and order. It is also intended to establish clear expectations in both emergency and non-emergency situations. While rushing alone to a fire may seem brave and commendable, that person may also endanger other firefighters if they become trapped. At this time, it would be inappropriate to publicly discuss individual disciplinary cases that have not been fully resolved. The City of Atlanta has a process in place where each employee has the opportunity to appeal proposed adverse disciplinary actions to the Civil Service Review Board." Captain Daniel Dwyer, a 15-year veteran of the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department, responded to the fire on Collier Drive on June 27, 2019, according to a copy of the complaint against him signed by Fire Chief Randall Slaughter. The actual sequence of events at the fire was unclear, but the images show several firefighters on the scene and one pulling what appears to be a person out of the house. Sergeant Cortez Stafford, a fire department spokesman, he was under the impression that Dwyer had entered the house on his own. "We have a policy that states that for firefighters making an entry or doing a rescue, they have to make sure they're with the crew if something goes wrong," Stafford said in a telephone interview. However, Paul Gertis, president of the Atlanta Professional Firefighters, the local branch of the International Association of Firefighters Union, did not agree. Gertis said Dwyer entered the house with 2 other crew members. Those 2 firefighters were attempting to douse the flames while Dwyer conducted a search of the second floor, according to Gertis. Dwyer successfully located the woman and pulled her out, but she later died unfortunately from her injuries. Gertis called Dwyer's suspension absolutely bizarre. Stafford said that in his 14 years in the department, he could not recall a similar suspension. Gertis said that while the policies are always in place, they are also meant to protect firefighters. When a citizen's life is at stake, safety protocols for firefighters should be set aside. As we're recounting, Dwyer was ultimately suspended without pay from Thursday through Sunday.
One thing he's going to have to deal with is living with the guilt of not being able to save this homeowner, and then to have a financial burden on top of this as well, losing pay for 48 hours. It's going to hurt him and his family financially.
On social media, the union seemed to take a darkly ironic tone. Tragic event when a firefighter upholds his oath to risk his life for a citizen he has never met. When the men and women of the station learn that fire captains are going to be punished for acts of valor, it simply goes against everything a firefighter swears to uphold. No doubt, friends, a rescue with a sad double ending. However, this is not comparable to the ending of our second story. Attractive firefighter cracks up after rescuing a grandma from flooding in Canada. When Alberta, Canada suffered severe flooding in 2013, volunteer firefighters from all over the region were called in to help rescue civilians from the floods. And while all of the firemen and firewomen who came to help were extremely brave during this natural disaster, one firefighter stood out for the most adorable reason. Without a doubt, Sean Weeb became a viral sensation when this image of him rescuing a little old lady went viral all over the internet. Sean, a volunteer firefighter who occasionally works for the Nanton Fire Department in High River, Atlanta, decided to put on his gear and work alongside the fire department during this series of massive flooding in the region. He did everything he could to protect people in danger and prevent the floods from causing further damage. In the picture, he is seen hugging the woman and smiling at her with the whitest, brightest smile you've ever seen. However, the story behind the now celebrated photo is almost as amazing thing is the photo itself. On that day, Viba had to step in to save as many people as possible from the floods. When he saw this elderly woman, he realized that her rain boots were saturated with water and decided it would be more efficient to carry her rather than make her crawl through the flood. Amazed, Viba said the woman was in complete shock at being lifted so easily. The woman turned to him and said something that literally made him crack up laughing. As he lifted her up and they walked to get out of there, she told him,
"She's like, the last time I was carried like this was on my wedding night." I'm like, oh!
There you have it, friends. What sparked that infectious smile taking over the internet was an adorable old lady sharing a detail about her wedding night. That's the best thing I could have imagined her saying at the time. No wonder Sean cracked up laughing. It must have been nice, after a day of stress and panic, to hear something like that so unexpectedly. Luckily, in that moment of hilarity, Calgary Sun photographer Lyle Aspinall was there to take the photo we've all been admiring. When the photo began to spread across the internet, Sean didn't even know of his growing fame. Until a friend sent him a Facebook message asking if he was the firefighter in the popular photo, Sean didn't know what was going on. However, since the photo went viral, Sean hasn't had his fame go to his head. He seems to be very down-to-earth and kind, and continues to work hard as a volunteer firefighter for the Alberta region as the area recovered from that terrible flood. On the other hand, his friends and family are very proud of his work and his newfound viral fame, and are taking advantage of the limelight to brag to everyone that they know Sean Weeb. Of course, to the disappointment of many of this channel's female followers, Mr. Weeb is happily married and has children. Sorry, ladies. As we're counting down, the ridiculously photogenic firefighter answered questions about how life had changed his life in the last year. Sean Weeb's ability to smile as he rescued the woman from the raging waters of the High River helped make him the face of the 2013 flood. In fact, the photo of the ridiculously photogenic firefighter made international headlines. The Nanton firefighter clearly remembers the day he became an instant celebrity. Here's the interview where he was asked how the photo affected him over the past year. "Why are you smiling in the photo?" "I'm always a happy guy, no matter the situation. I have a smile on my face. When I picked Sheila up from the ship, I gave her a reassuring smile to let her know that everything was going to be okay." "What exactly did you tell her?" "What she told me as I carried her to dry land was that the last time she was carried like that was on her wedding night. And if you've seen the other pictures with the huge smile, that's where it came from." As the weeks passed after the flood, I had the opportunity to finally meet up with her. We have now become very good friends. You became the iconic image of the hero firefighter. How do you feel about that? At first it was very overwhelming, but as I gave interviews to the media, I became more comfortable with the label of the ridiculously photogenic firefighter. What's the strangest thing that happened to you in the wake of your story going viral? I think the strangest thing that has happened to me so far is going from being a normal person from a small town to people recognizing me wherever I go, and now people asking for my autograph. A smile is worth 1,000 words, and it's the best way to show you care is your Twitter motto. How do you use this motto in your life as a firefighter? As a firefighter, I am committed to helping people. There are times in an emergency situation where giving a smile tends to calm a person down. As my slogan says, it shows you care. In fact, it takes fewer muscles to make a smile than it does to frown. No doubt, friends, a lovely rescue. However, this does not compare to the adrenaline rush of our third story. Portland off-duty firefighter saves an elderly woman while off the clock. In February of this year, 2023, a Portland firefighter was recently hailed as a hero for something he did off the clock. In fact, it was his quick thinking that saved an elderly Westbrook, Maine woman who had no idea her house was on fire. It was supposed to be a trip home from the grocery store like any other, but while driving down New Gorham Road, Tom Lafferty saw smoke coming from the roof of her home Saturday afternoon. The off-duty Portland firefighter knew what he had to do. He called 911 and then went pounding on the doors, even going around back to see if anyone was inside. The woman came out, unaware that her house was on fire. That's when Lafferty helped her into his truck so she could warm up until her family arrived.
I'm just glad I was there because I could recognize the situation and I knew that I could keep a bad situation from getting worse. Every time you can positively impact someone's life, either by helping them at a fire or taking them to the hospital if they're sick, is a great feeling.
Responding crews found a fire inside the walls of the house and were able to put it out. According to the Portland Firefighters Union, because of the quick response, crews were able to prevent the fire from spreading and prevent further damage to the home. In the days to come, the cause continued to be investigated, but the exact reason was not found. However, everything points to carelessness. At this point, haven't you seen this heroic rescue yet? I wouldn't miss it.